Hello, everyone. Thank you for meeting me here on this video. I'm really happy to be here, and I want to talk to you about a couple central themes that are just really powerful right now and that have been in the space and continue to be in the space of where I'm at and where I'm working. And in working with people, I'm really seeing that it's part of their space as well. And that's typically how it is that we're all in this life together, and we're one big collective organism living and breathing together. And that just kind of reminds me, I'm going to tell you a quick story. So when I was in yoga teacher training, one of the things that we had to do was to get up in front of our class and teach a class. And throughout the course of yoga teacher training, we had to get up and teach in front of a few students, but this was going to be the first time that we taught in front of the whole class. And there was probably maybe like 40 people in the class, plus the teachers that were there instructing us. And so we were able to teach a portion of the class. And it was really an amazing experience. And I want to share a little bit about that with you because of what I just said about that we're just one big breathing organism. And as many of you know, part of the yoga practice is the breath. And the breath is something that's extremely important while you're practicing and getting into your postures and doing the ujjayi breath and working that and being consistent with that as you're practicing your yoga. And so when I got up there, one of the things that was so powerful for me was that I remember standing up there and having this moment of looking out and watching everybody and hearing and feeling just the breath that was moving in the whole entire room. And it was like this big organism of energy just breathing up and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out. And that was so powerful for me in the moment that it literally almost stopped me from what I was doing because I was so distracted by that. I just wanted to just be there in that energy because it was so intense. And not only was it intense to witness, but I can feel that energy coming at me and really kind of moving in my body. And it was just amazing. It really was. And I don't know, I just feel like I needed to share that with you because that's really what if we really look at this, that's really what we are. We are one big giant organism, breathing, expanding and contracting, and we go around in our lives busy. One person's doing this, one person's doing that, and it's like these little things all running around. And sometimes I think about like what if I were to rise above earth and look down and look at all the people just scrambling, we're waiting in line to get gas, or and just kind of almost like the craziness of that, like all these little ants moving around. And anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. I thought that was kind of an interesting observation, and it just came through. So the reason why I did come on is I want to talk about a couple central themes that are going on and that will continue to go on through 2019 and beyond. But anyway, let's just talk about now. And so 2019 is a year of possibility. It's a year of us expanding, and a year of hopefulness and really making our vision, bring it into fruition. And last year, we were in another time. We were in the time of the shadow, and not that the shadow has, we're done, it's over, by no means, but it was really a focus. And we saw that with the whole Bill Cosby thing. We saw that with Harry Weinstein, some of the other people out there in, on television, or just, they just were brought to the light. And didn't mean they went to the light or that they saw the light, but they were in the spotlight of the shadows from which they came. And so moving in 2019, here we are in bringing in another energy of us expanding in possibility and potential. And that's super exciting. And it's super exciting. And I'm talking about it because I really want to encourage people to get on that train, to get on that vibrational train, to really, bring this energy, use these energies that are happening in your own lives, because they're here to support and propel us into something different and new. So just wanted to touch on that one a little bit. And the next one I'm going to go to is I'm going to bring in an archetype of the wounded healer. And this is super powerful. And for the past 8 years, this energy, this central theme has been in a different feeling. Let me put it this way. I try not to get too astrological, but I'm going to right now. But I think you'll track me. So Chiron, the planet Chiron, it takes 8 years for it to circle the sun. So every 8 years, this little planet, which was discovered, I believe, in about 1986, circles around the sun and is in one sign and moves into the other. And the significance of 1986, the reason why I brought it up is because each of these planets, when they were discovered, there was a central collective theme that was happening, the ethos at that time, and that's how these planets were assigned these archetypal personifications. And so around 1986, in that area, Chiron was discovered, and it took on the personification of the wounded healer, because this is a time when we were in the 80s, healing began to take on a new modality. We were no longer healing in the Western way, in how we were integrating a little bit more of a Western philosophy in healing. And so new modalities of healing coming through, and not in mainstream, but there's this whole culture of us, this whole new age culture, that's what we were getting into, is healing our wounds from a different place, no longer dealing with the symptoms of the wound, but going to the root of the wound. And so that's where Chiron got its archetypal name of the wounded healer. So here we are in 2019, and for the past 8 years, it has been in the sign of Pisces, which is a water sign. It also is the archetype of the wounded healer. It's the archetype of Christ. It is the archetype of the martyr. And so being in Pisces, that sign, in a water sign, we were very much healing our wounds over the last 8 years from a very internal place. Not from where we were 8 years before that, which was in another sign of Aquarius, which is more that's more the head realm, right? The mind realm. And so, we went from dealing with the psychology of our wounds to the real, more body issues with our wounds and healing them from that perspective. So moving forward, 2019, we haven't completely shifted into this, but we're right on the cusp of shifting into Chiron, being into a fire sign of Aries, which is the warrior. And so what does that mean for us? Well, this now is about healing our wounds externally, taking those internal feelings that we have had and the work that we have done and acting on it in a different way. And here's the thing, this is the beauty of this, is that when we act and move this energy out of our body, we're able to release it out of our body. And last year, when this started to really come up, this central theme moving into fire, is when the whole Me Too movement really came and made its second mark. And that is where all of the shadow work was happening, and where these women came forward, and some men came forward to say, this is how I was wounded. This is how I felt victimized. So super powerful stuff here. So think about that. So now we're in fire. Now it's about us acting on it. And it doesn't necessarily always mean what was done to us, but it's even what we do to ourselves. Meaning, how do we hold ourselves in some sort of a wound? Whether it's something that we heard as a small child that we're still dealing with, like, oh, you're not enough. That's pretty a blanket statement, but we can all add our own little line to that of what I'm not enough means for each of us, because we all have that inside of us in some way or another. And so how that keeps us from doing something that we really want to do with our life. And so that's what I mean. Like, the more that we're able to take action, we will heal ourselves from the external place of helping to move those wounds out of our body. Because when we have these experiences, they become part of our cellular memory. I mean, they become part of the dialogue in our body. And so this is so unconscious, and it becomes part of our subconscious, to where we don't even realize the patterns that we have created in these cycles of wounds that are still in our body. And even though we healed them, we need to transform them, transmute, transcend these out. So with this fire warrior energy of people speaking out, like I said, and maybe even doing things, it doesn't have to, it doesn't mean that you have to go out there and say, hey, this is how I was wronged. But maybe it's something as simple, like for me, what I'm experiencing in myself is getting on more stages, getting out there in front of people. You know, where I've always been this really shy little girl with glasses as a, you know, as a small child, and feeling like, oh, I don't want attention because that attention feels way too scary for me. It's like, no, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to do that. Not to challenge myself in a way to just for the sake of challenging it, but because I know that this is part of my work. So think about that, you know, think about that, feel that. And what is that like for you? You know, what's your experience with needing to expand yourself in another way? It doesn't mean that you're out in the forefront, but it could mean that you're just doing something different in a way that you haven't done it before, that takes you out of your comfort zone. Because that's what this is about. It's about getting out of our comfort zone. And like I said, we're being supported to do that in a big way. And in what way are you holding something in that you're afraid to do something because of some past trauma or some voice that you have in your head that you keep listening to, or you don't even realize that you're hearing, but you're not feeling content in your life. You're not feeling joy in your life. You're not feeling fulfilled in your life. So just some things to consider. And with that said, please send me a message, give me your comments, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's something that I'm working on right now to build and to get that out there more, and eventually, you know, get that to be more consistent. So please subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I would really love to hear from you. Okay. Namaste.